Hi, this is Bishop Craig in Lansing, and this is Take One for the week of October 24. Peace be with you. I had some good fun last week talking to a lot of preachers about the reading from last Sunday, the healing of Bartimaeus, the beggar who is blind, who I regard as a model of faith. I talked about that last week. I was really surprised that so many people reached out to talk about that reading. My friend, Bishop Emeritus Abraham Allende, said to me he'd never preached on that particular reading. And when I was surprised, he reminded me, Craig, it falls on the fourth Sunday in October, which is usually Reformation Sunday. So we're preaching from John. Well, Reformation Sunday is this Sunday, and the reading is from John. And that made me wondering, what are we missing by preaching on Reformation Sunday from John? And so I looked at the Mark Gospel as well, and I love the way they fit together. Jesus in John's Gospel says, if you continue in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I am amazed how much fun I had last week talking about the reading involving Bartimaeus, because these days I'm not spending a lot of time talking to people about Jesus and Jesus' word. I'm spending a lot of time talking about things congregations are fighting over, and refereeing and trying to provide guidance as factions fight within congregations, and whether or not we need to wear masks, and what happens when COVID comes to church. And I talk a lot about what happens because we don't want my congregation to die someday. And we seem to have, as I indicated in my October newsletter, we seem to have left Jesus and Jesus' word in the dust. So maybe, this Reformation Sunday, rather than waving the Lutheran flag and putting our hand over our hearts and singing "A Mighty Fortress is Our God," maybe what we need to do is pause and ask ourselves honestly as congregations and the church, what are we doing to continue in God's word? What are we doing to follow in Jesus' word so that we may know the truth and the truth will set us free? Maybe rather than ratcheting up the conflict, we might engage in some forgiveness. So my Reformation message this week is, let's all take a deep breath. Let's all pause. Let's all spend some time in Jesus' word. Maybe rather than fighting over masks, we could get on Zoom and have a Bible study. And the reason I like the way the Mark reading ties in is one of the scribes asks Jesus what the greatest commandment is, and Jesus answers, you shall love the Lord is one. The Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So I don't usually like to jump Gospels from John to Mark. My students will tell you I used to get annoyed when they did that in their sermons. But I think as we talk about continuing in God's Word this Reformation Day, we could explore how we're doing in terms of loving the Lord our God with all our heart and our soul and our mind and our strength, and loving our neighbors as ourselves. And then on this Reformation Sunday, asking, what do we need to reform in our interacting and in our behaving and in our dealing with one another so that we continue in God's word and love the Lord our God with all our heart and soul and mind and strength. And here's the big one, and love our neighbors as ourselves. I think that's our Reformation task this year, as we sing A Mighty Fortress is Our God. I get to preach at Emmanuel in Jackson for Reformation Day, and I'm looking forward to being there. And I'm looking forward to wearing my big red coat and my big red mitre and carrying my big crozier and looking like a medieval bishop, a chess piece, in order to celebrate that Reformation Day is part of the church, the whole church, the history of the church, and that it's bigger than us. So I'm looking forward to doing that. It's kind of my cool way to celebrate Reformation Day. I'm also looking forward to seeing Pastor Kate and be with the people at Emmanuel. So that's my Sunday. In the meantime, I'm going to be doing a lot of paperwork and phone calls and Zoom meetings this week. And on Wednesday, we have staff meeting and we have a preliminary budget conversation. And I get to meet with our Synod's Disabilities Task Force, which, because of some things that I see going on in our church, has renewed vigor for me, our church's ministry with persons with disabilities. So I'll be talking about that stuff in my November newsletter, which I'm going to try to write this week because I have some time. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on. There is some news coming, but I can't tell you about call processes, but I can't tell you that till next week. So I would say pray for congregations in the call process. Pray for congregations discerning their future. Pray especially that congregations take the time to ask not as what is most expedient and what is best to preserve our church, but what is Jesus calling us to do and to be, and how is it that we, at a time of transition, best continue in Jesus' word. That's take one for the week of October 24th. I'm Bishop Craig, and peace be with you. Take care.